We've seen it in movies and TV shows, and you may have heard someone say they looked to the left, therefore they were lying. Can you tell what people are thinking based on their eye movements? And can you tell if someone is lying based on that? Keep watching to find out. Ahoy, Bryce here from Bryter Training, where we aim to improve your personal and business performance by sharing new tools, models, and psychology to help you achieve your goals and outcomes. If you haven't already, please remember to hit like and subscribe. It helps us know we're on the right track and makes us clap like excited little kids. Welcome back to our current subscribers too. We're always grateful for your support and for sharing our videos. So today we are continuing our introduction to NLP Series by looking at eye axis and cues. There are several different models that exist. However, they all basically say the same thing, that people's eyes move as they access or process information, and that you can use that movement to better understand what is going through their mind at that time. So, can you tell what people are thinking based on their eye movements? And can you tell if someone is lying based on that? The short answer is that eye axis and cues are not a hard science. There are a lot of variables that make it impossible to be able to make a firm claim as to what someone is thinking or the honesty of their statement based solely on eye movements. However, in my experience, there is some use for it in communications. So where does this idea come from? One story says that Bandler and Grinder, the fathers of NLP, noticed people looking in the same direction when asked questions in a group. Then, when chatting, one of them said, "I see what you're saying." And this prompted them to ask, what if it's literal? Logically, you would expect someone to say, "I hear what you're saying." Perhaps people really do see images as they listen to someone talk. As I have said, there are a number of different models and theories that exist. This one we use is linked to neurology and research. However, it is an indicative model only. It is important with any good process or science to be flexible and open to individual styles. With all advanced communication, it is about tailoring communication and calibrating the person in front of you at that time, instead of applying a rigid, generalized profile to someone. Before we get going, here are a few disclaimers and things to watch out for. People are not one type. You need to calibrate someone with each interaction to have an accurate reading. In other words, if you don't know how someone processes information, true statements, lies, or data normally, then you can't assign a meaning to their eye movement without a frame of reference. It's like when people say that crossing your arms means you are defensive. It could mean that you are defensive, but it could also mean that you're comfortable, you might be cold, there may be other reasons for crossing your arms. You may just cross your arms when you think. In other words, you need a baseline to even attempt to interpret what you are seeing. When used in lie detection, eye axis and cues are simply one factor. A person looking to their left doesn't mean that they are lying. You need to look at clusters of responses and have effective calibration. With all of these types of tools, be careful not to mind read. Focus on sensory-based observation. All you can say for certain is that when given a piece of information, the person's eyes moved up and to their left. Anything else is assumption and guesswork. Effective communication means being able to adapt your communication type to match the person in front of you at that specific time when you're communicating with them. Also, be aware that someone may access their lead system, which I'll explain in a second, to process your question before accessing the information itself. So you really need to pay attention to how someone works before reading meaning into it. Hence, always take a baseline and calibrate the subject. Some people, often left-handed, show reverse characteristics, so their eye chart will be flipped. However, they will always be consistent. Each person experiences the world or creates their own model based on how they sort millions of bits of information coming into their nervous system. Therefore, each person has unique experiences and communicates differently at different times. Categorizing someone rigidly as visual is about as practically useful as saying they have blonde hair. A label doesn't help you communicate effectively. Good communication is about adjusting your approach to how the person works, not by trying to make people fit a profile you have for them. Even if you have similar personalities, you will always need to communicate differently for each person. Rigid personality profiles are not overly useful in communications. One thing to be aware of, which can get a little complicated, is that there are actually 3 visual systems that people can access when processing information. Primary converts data into a representational system. This is the one people think of when they think of eye movements and lie detection. It rotates regularly and is used for everyday use. You can also see if someone is using this by assessing the tempo of speech, predicates, eye movements, breathing, etc. For more information on that, check out our last video on representational systems. Next, there is a system called the lead system, which is like accessing the hard drive for information. It's where the data is located, either VA or K. This is a static system. It's where you go to get information or process the question. It's just important to be aware of, because if you ask someone a question to watch their eye movements, you need to remember that their eyes may move to their lead system first before they think about the actual answer to your question. The final one is the reference system, and this is used to check the validity or truth. So if you ask someone a question and they answer, if you then ask them if they are sure, you will then see their eyes move to reference their answer. So, does it work? Well, the best thing to do is believe nothing and test everything. It helps to set up a camera or have a friend help out for this next part. As you can see from the image, this is what you will see when you look at someone. So if it says that they look up and to the right, it is to your right as you look at them, or to their left. So basically, the idea is if someone is visualizing something, they will look up. If they look to the right as you look at them, then they are thought to be remembering an image. If they look up and to the left, they are constructing or creating an image, which is why people often think that left means lie. If they look to the side, they are processing auditorily and hearing something. Again, right is remembered and left is constructed. Finally, if they look down and to the left as you look at them, then it is said that they are processing kinesthetically, which can mean either emotion or sensation. If they look down and to the right, then they are said to be processing digitally or talking to themselves. Got that? Excellent. To experience this for yourself, I have placed a link in the description below with different questions designed to demonstrate different eye movements. So grab a family member or a friend and have a little fun with it. To show you how it may work, here is a little demonstration with Peter. What you will notice during this example is that while his eyes move while he processes information, and most of the time it's consistent with our model, you will also notice that his eyes rotate through various systems as he explores the question. For example, while answering an auditory question, you can also see his eyes move up as he visualizes a person or an event, which is why eye accessing cues can be difficult and why it's so important to calibrate effectively and understand how the person in front of you works.
Ahoy! Thanks for volunteering today, Peter.
Ahoy! Pleasure.
All right. So these questions that we're going to go through, they're just a couple of quick questions to have a look to see what your eyes are going to be doing when we ask you some visual remembered questions.
Okay.
Okay. So the first thing I'm going to ask you is, who were the first three people you saw today?
There was only one, and that was you. Oh, and there were people when we were out walking.
Okay. Cool.
Did my eyes move?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
What colour were the walls in your last bedroom?
The walls in my last bedroom, I think they were just white.
Okay, no worries. So the next set of questions we're going to ask you is for visual construct.
Okay.
So what would you look like if you had green hair?
If I had green hair. Yeah, okay. Am I just imagining what I would look like?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I can see that.
All right, awesome. And if your car was bright pink, what would it look like?
My car is already bright yellow, so bright pink, yeah, it would still look pretty cool.
I'm sure it would. So the next set of questions we're going to be asking is for auditory remembered. Do you remember how the song done by Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody, starts?
Yeah. I'm not singing it though.
All right. And do you know the difference between a police siren and an ambulance siren?
I can hear different sirens in my mind, but I can mainly see the different cars, but I wouldn't actually know what the sirens sound like.
That's fair enough. So the next set of questions, we're going to be looking at auditory construct.
Mm-hmm.
So that song that you heard, the one by Taylor Swift that you were talking about just before.
There's no evidence that that's who it was, but yes.
If it was sung by Donald Duck, what would it sound like?
Would still sound pretty cool.
So what would the national anthem sound like if it was sung by a cat?
Like that Bongo Cat channel.
We all like Bongo Cat.
I love Bongo Cat.
What would your favourite song sound like if it was played at 3 times the speed?
I have to try and think of my favourite song. Okay, I'll pick one. Okay, yeah.
All right. So the next set of questions we're going to be asking is centred around kinesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you feel the socks on your feet?
No, because I'm not wearing any.
Righto. How do you feel when you laugh?
How do I feel when I laugh?
Yeah.
Okay, am I just? I can imagine that sensation. Yeah.
Describe the feeling of your favourite article of clothing.
It's a really cool jacket, cool leather jacket. Satin inlay. So yeah, it's very cool to wear.
Some interesting movements there, but okay. And the next set of questions focused around auditory digital.
Mm-hmm.
So give me 3 logical reasons why people should save money.
So they can buy nice things, and see my eyes are moving around a bit now. Do I have to give you 3 reasons? Can I give you 1?
We can at least
reason?
think of them anyway.
Okay, I'm thinking of them.
Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
The egg, because I believe dinosaurs laid them long before chickens existed.
Interesting answer.
Ah.
And who was the last person you had a telephone conversation with?
I can remember. See, again, I can feel my eyes moving around everywhere now, so I'm very conscious of it.
That's all good. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Peter. I really appreciate it. Say goodbye to everybody at home.
Goodbye, everybody at home.
Interesting, huh? If you would be interested in a full video providing an explanation on this, please leave us a comment below. Again, this will work best if you don't give them time to prepare. Otherwise, it could read as remembered and you won't get the most accurate response. Another point of note is that if someone believes their lie, it can be really hard to tell. Or if someone has had time to practice their lie, as I mentioned before, then it can be read as remembered. So you can see the challenges and limitations to this process. So there we go. Do they work? Well, they can. But they shouldn't be used as the only piece of evidence with lie detection, for example. The real benefit to them is that it provides yet another tool for you to tailor your communication. If someone is processing visually a lot, then perhaps use a lot of visual descriptive words or adapt to how they communicate. If they look down and to the right a lot and tend to speak slowly, then perhaps they have a kinesthetic preference, in which case you may want to speak slowly and use pauses so that they have time to process. You may also want to ask questions like, how do you feel about that? Rather than, how does that look to you? Little things like that can really make a difference to rapport, and people will appreciate it, whether consciously or otherwise, the effort that you make to speak to them in their own language. This is part of a much larger suite of programs exploring advanced communication skills, so for more information on this program or any others that we run, please reach out to us directly at any time. Our contact details can be found on our website, and that's listed in the description below. Thanks again for joining us, and have a marvellous day.